Another day, another banger. Welcome back to Movies Outpost as we take you through another masterpiece of a franchise. This would be the Ocean movies and will include Oceans 11, 12 as well as 13. I will not be recapping Oceans 8 as I believe the movie is trash. So without further ado, make sure to sit back, relax, and as always enjoy the recap. Danny Ocean is released from North Jersey State Prison after serving a 4-year sentence. Wasting no time, he heads to a casino in Atlantic City where he meets Frank, an old acquaintance. Frank asks if Danny has a new plan, but Danny replies that he hasn't had time to think about one yet since he just got out. Meanwhile, Rusty Ryan is busy teaching a group of rookies how to play cards. Frustrated by their lack of focus, he steps outside for a drink. When he returns, the group informs him that a new player has joined the game. Rusty doesn't mind and lets the game continue. The new player is Danny, and together with Rusty, they trick the inexperienced players into repeatedly raising their bets. By the end of the game, the pot grows to over $10,000. Predictably, the rookies lose everything and Danny walks away with the winnings. Afterward, Danny and Rusty catch up and Rusty admits he's been feeling bored. He asks Danny if he has any plans, and Danny reveals he's working on something ambitious. It's a big job that will require a large crew, but the payoff promises to be 8 figures each. Curious, Rusty asks about the target. Danny explains his plan to rob 3 casinos simultaneously in Las Vegas, all owned by a man named Terry Benedict. Rusty acknowledges the challenge and says they'll need at least a dozen skilled people to pull off a series of intricate cons. Danny and Rusty arrive in Las Vegas to pitch their plan to Ruben, a wealthy casino mogul. Initially, Ruben dismisses them, calling their idea insane. He points out that Las Vegas casinos are heavily guarded with enough armed personnel to occupy Paris, and lists past heist attempts, all of which ended in failure. Disheartened, Danny and Rusty prepare to leave, but when they mention their target, Terry Benedict's casinos, Ruben's demeanor changes. He agrees to help, driven by a grudge against Benedict who once forced him to sell his own casino. The duo begins assembling their team, starting with the Malloy brothers, a pair of skilled and eccentric drivers. They recruit Frank, who will act as their inside man at the casino, and Livingston, a tech expert with experience in freelance surveillance work for the FBI's mob squad. Next, they approach Basher Tar, a demolitions expert. Basher is in the middle of a botched crime with his current crew, who forgot to disable the alarm. Rusty shows up at the scene pretending to have the authority to take Basher into custody. Amused, Basher agrees to join, remarking how nice it'll be to work with proper villains again. He laughs as one of his explosives detonates behind him. The team then heads to a circus to recruit the amazing Yen, a highly skilled acrobat. His agility and physical prowess make him a perfect addition to the group. Lastly, Danny and Rusty visit Saul Bloom, an old friend and seasoned criminal. Initially, Saul declines, claiming he's retired and no longer interested in risky jobs. But as Rusty outlines the plan, Saul's curiosity gets the better of him, and he agrees to join. With 10 members on board, Danny declares the team is ready. However, after a moment's thought, he suggests they should add one more, just to be sure. With that, Danny tracks down Linus Caldwell, a talented pickpocket whose father he once worked with, and invites him to join their team. Linus agrees, and soon the entire crew gathers at Ruben's luxurious estate. After enjoying some fine drinks, they settle in to hear Danny outline the ambitious plan. Danny explains that the goal is to rob the vault containing the cash reserves for 3 of Las Vegas's most profitable casinos, all owned by Terry Benedict. According to Nevada Gaming Commission regulations, casinos must keep enough cash on hand to cover every chip in play. On an average weekday, that's between $50 and $80 million, but on a fight night like the one happening in 2 weeks, the vault will hold at least $150 million. With the stakes clear, the team begins preparing. They start by studying the casino's security, observing the guards' behavior, learning their routes, and mapping all exits and quick escape paths. Basher works on a plan to cut the power to the building, ensuring their operation can proceed unnoticed. To access the casino's surveillance system, they target a lonely technician. Danny steals the technician's access card, allowing Livingston to tap into the casino's security network. Simultaneously, the Malloy brothers create a diversion by staging a loud argument, drawing attention away while Livingston sneaks inside to plant wireless tech. This equipment will let the crew monitor security cameras from a safe distance. Meanwhile, Saul prepares for his undercover role as Lyman Zerga, a wealthy foreigner staying at the casino hotel. He commissions a custom suit made from imported silk and practices adopting his new persona with elegance and confidence. The team's elaborate plan begins to take shape, with every member playing a vital role in setting the stage for the heist of a lifetime. The crew begins observing Terry Benedict's daily routine. Benedict arrives at the casino at 2 p.m. sharp, meeting with his staff, managers, and security team, as well as entertaining high-profile guests. Each day, the door codes within the casino are changed, and Benedict receives the updated codes at 7:30 p.m. just before leaving. While on surveillance duty, Rusty and Linus spot a strikingly beautiful woman leaving the casino. Rusty immediately identifies her as Tess. Later, Rusty confronts Danny, asking if this heist is about the money or a personal vendetta against the man dating his ex-wife. Danny admits it's both. The next day, Tess and Benedict are seen inspecting a new painting for the casino's art collection. Benedict mentions that he's looking forward to their date later that evening. Meanwhile, Saul, in his role as Mr. Zerga, sits at a card table and requests a private meeting with Benedict. Casino staff brief Benedict on Zerga's background, describing him as a prominent European arms dealer with significant influence. Elsewhere in the casino, Tess mistakenly believes Benedict has arrived only to find Danny waiting for her. Danny points out that she's no longer wearing her wedding ring. Tess replies that she sold it and reminds him that he still owes her. When she mentions she's now with Benedict, Danny pointedly asks if Benedict makes her laugh. Tess responds that Benedict doesn't make her cry, unlike Danny. During his meeting with Benedict, Mr. Zerga explains that a valuable black briefcase will soon be arriving at the casino. He insists that standard safes won't suffice for its security, ensuring the item will need special attention. This demand adds another layer of intrigue to the crew's elaborate plan. Benedict soon arrives at the restaurant and exchanges a few words with Danny before leaving. The next day, Basher notices a power outage in the building and investigates. That evening, as the team reviews the plan and amazing yen practices in the vault, Basher returns with bad news. An electrical team has discovered the weakness he planned to exploit to cut the casino's power and is fixing it, making the plan impossible. Basher suggests using a pinch, explaining it's a device that creates an electromagnetic pulse to disable power. The team heads to the California Institute of Advanced Science to steal one, but during their escape, Amazing Yen injures his hand. The next morning, Livingston reveals Danny has been red flagged and security is watching him closely. Rusty, learning it's due to Danny interacting with Tess, declares Danny is out or the plan is off. Ruben protests, asking who will trigger the vault. Rusty turns to Linus, who agrees to take over. The next day, the plan is in motion. Linus prepares for his role, and Rusty informs Saul he's up. Benedict then meets Mr. Zerga as the briefcase arrives at the casino, and they head across the floor. Suddenly, someone calls out Saul's real name, not Zerga, causing a commotion. Zerga orders the Malloy brothers to escort him out. In a secure room, Benedict inspects the briefcase, finds nothing suspicious, and approves it for transfer but denies Zerga access to the vault. Meanwhile, the pinch is installed, and the Malloy brothers disguise themselves as room service, heading to Saul's room. They check with Amazing Yen, ensuring he's ready. Benedict monitors the briefcase transfer while Linus approaches him, claiming to be from the Nevada Gaming Commission. Danny spots Tess and follows her, unaware he's being tailed. In Saul's room, Rusty notes that Amazing Yen now has 30 minutes to execute his part. Linus distracts Benedict by accusing Frank of a shady history, pulling him off the casino floor. Simultaneously, the Malloy brothers change into security uniforms. Tess confronts Danny, accusing him of scheming and insisting he won't win her back. Danny replies he's only there to say goodbye and leaves, but is soon stopped. Linus escalates the situation with Frank, leading to a staged argument. Frank accuses Linus of discrimination, and tensions rise. The Malloy brothers, meanwhile, create their own distraction by arguing and fumbling with a lost keycard. The guards, annoyed, take the briefcase to the vault, not realizing it's part of the con. Rusty signals it's time while Benedict expels Frank from the casino. As Linus pretends to retrieve his pager, Benedict dismisses him, allowing Linus to proceed unnoticed. Basher, meanwhile, is driving, announcing over the radio that he's almost in position. Danny, on the other hand, pretends to be restrained, casually asking the guards when Benedict is expected to arrive. Suddenly, an unfamiliar man steps into the room, prompting the guards to leave. The man introduces himself as Bruiser, and without warning, he punches Danny. Danny, irritated, shouts for him to hold off on the fake beatings until later, reminding him they need to handle other tasks first. Apologetic, Bruiser agrees. At the vault, the guards deliver Mr. Zerga's mysterious black briefcase. Watching through surveillance, Livingston quietly mutters, "Oh shit," as the plan unfolds. Nearby, Zerga begins to feign illness, prompting the security team to focus on him. This gives Livingston the perfect moment to switch the live camera feeds to pre-recorded footage, effectively masking their heist in real time. Meanwhile, Benedict joins Tess to watch the high-profile boxing match, completely unaware of the chaos brewing behind the scenes. Elsewhere, Linus carefully climbs into position but is surprised to encounter Danny. Relieved to see one another, they quickly regroup and get to work. Rusty arrives in disguise as the doctor summoned to attend to Zerga. Playing his role convincingly, he examines Zerga before announcing, "We've lost him." Meanwhile, the crew prepares and activates the pinch, a device designed to temporarily cut power to the casino. The plan works almost too well, plunging not only the casino but most of Las Vegas into darkness. In the chaos, Danny and Linus descend toward the vault. However, they quickly realize their wires are too short, forcing them to cut them just as the power flickers back on. The sudden reactivation causes pandemonium across the casino and boxing arena, keeping the security team fully occupied. Amidst the confusion, the amazing Yen begins his part of the heist. Balancing with precision, he catches the briefcase just before it falls. Meanwhile, Danny and Linus deploy a gas-emitting device, incapacitating the vault guards and clearing the way for the next phase of their meticulously planned heist. With the area secured, Yen slips inside, executing a nimble leap to navigate the vault's intricate security system. However, a slight misstep nearly triggers an alarm as his bandage snags on a sensor. Struggling to free himself, Yen races against time while Danny and Linus ready the explosives for the vault door. A brief miscommunication threatens to derail the plan, but Yen escapes just as the charges detonate. The vault door bursts open in a controlled explosion, revealing stacks of cash inside. The team springs into action, quickly piling the money into bags. Watching via camera, Saul quips with a grin, excited about the heist. At the boxing match, a phone rings unexpectedly in Tess's pocket. Benedict answers, only to hear Rusty calmly take credit for the unfolding heist. Suspicious, Benedict checks the security monitors but finds nothing unusual. Rusty cryptically urges him to keep watching, hinting at an impending twist. Tess, beginning to piece things together, realizes Danny must have planted the phone on her. Frustrated, Benedict dismisses her, turning his focus back to Rusty. Rusty lays out an ultimatum. Benedict can let them take half of the $160 million quietly or risk losing everything in a catastrophic explosion that would lead to public embarrassment. Begrudgingly, Benedict agrees and watches as 6 bags of cash are loaded into a white van parked outside the casino. However, in a bid to outsmart the thieves, he discreetly calls 911 to summon a SWAT team to intercept the van. The SWAT team storms the vault, reporting a dramatic shootout. When the lights come back on, the guards are unharmed, but the money appears destroyed. Furious, Benedict orders the van tracked to a nearby airfield, only to discover it completely empty. Slowly realizing he's been outplayed, Benedict uncovers that the security footage was pre-recorded and that during the blackout the vault itself had been ingeniously swapped. The film reveals how the heist was executed in detail. Livingston intercepted Benedict's 911 call, rerouting it to the team who arrived disguised as a SWAT unit. While Benedict and his security staff monitored fake footage of the vault, the team entered unnoticed, retrieved the money, and quietly exited with all the cash, leaving no trace as they drove away. Later, Benedict confronts Danny, who is still pretending to endure Bruiser's staged beatings. Suspicious, Benedict directly asks if Danny had any involvement in the heist. Danny feigns ignorance, maintaining he doesn't know what Benedict is talking about. After a moment of consideration, Benedict reluctantly lets him go. In a hotel room, Tess receives a call instructing her to watch Channel 8. She sees a live broadcast of Benedict approaching Danny once again, questioning whether he stole the money. Danny counters with a provocative question, asking if Benedict would give up Tess to recover his fortune. Without hesitation, Benedict answers, yes. Shortly after, Benedict meets Tess, who delivers a biting remark, "In your hotel, there's always someone watching." Realizing her loyalty lies with Danny, she walks out. As Tess steps outside, she spots Danny being escorted by police. She runs to him, declaring him as her husband. When she asks how long he'll be gone, Danny reassures her it won't be more than 6 months. Meanwhile, the team safely hides the SWAT van. Later, they gather at the iconic Bellagio fountain to celebrate their successful heist. After sharing a moment of triumph, they each go their separate ways. Months later, Rusty picks Danny up from prison once again. As they walk to Rusty's car, Danny jokes about its poor condition, teasing that Rusty should drive something better considering he's worth $13 million. Danny hops into the car's backseat where Tess waits for him. Overjoyed, he notices she still wears her wedding ring, and they drive off together. From a distance, 2 familiar faces keep an eye on the trio, casually beginning to follow them, hinting at more adventures to come. Ocean's 12 opens up years after the Bellagio heist, where Rusty finds himself in a precarious situation. In Rome, one evening in 2000, he returned home to his girlfriend Isabel, a Europol agent. Isabel excitedly shared progress on the Bulgari theft case, detailing evidence like shoe prints and hair strands that would soon lead her team to the culprit. Rusty, realizing the evidence pointed to him, excused himself to the bathroom. Checking his shoes, he confirmed the match. Without Isabel knowing, Rusty, the very thief she was chasing, climbed out of the bathroom window and vanished into the night. By 2004, Danny, Ocean, and Tess had settled in East Haven, Connecticut, living under the aliases Mr. and Mrs. Diaz. Danny posed as a retired high school basketball coach to keep a low profile. Their tranquil life was interrupted when Tess, home alone, was confronted by Terry Benedict and 2 of his bodyguards. On the phone with Danny, Tess discreetly signaled him about the danger. Rushing home from a jewelry store, Danny arrived to find Benedict demanding repayment of the $160 million stolen from him, along with 3 years of interest. Benedict gave them a 2-week deadline, threatening imprisonment or worse if they failed. He added ominously that other powerful individuals were also hunting Ocean's 11. Benedict systematically tracked down each member of the crew, delivering personal warnings. With only 13 days remaining, the group reunited in a warehouse 3 years after their famous heist. Calculating their debt, they discovered a $97 million shortfall after pooling their remaining funds. Knowing America was too risky, Rusty proposed Amsterdam as the location for their next job. Reluctantly, the team agreed. Saul, feeling the weight of his age, opted out of the operation, with Ruben covering his share. Despite their challenges, the group boarded a plane that afternoon, determined to execute another daring heist to settle their debt and evade the growing threats looming over them. Despite their focus on the mission ahead, they couldn't ignore the nagging suspicion that someone had leaked their identities to Terry Benedict. Upon arriving in the Netherlands, Rusty took a detour to spy on his ex-girlfriend Isabel, whom he had left abruptly 3.5 years prior. With only 11 days remaining before the deadline, Danny, Rusty, and Linus meet with Matsui, a fixer who proposed a mission to rob the home of van der Woud, a wealthy antique collector. The target was a historic VOC share certificate from 1606, the first of its kind, stored in a house equipped with a cutting-edge security system, including CCTV in every corner. Van der Woud rarely left the house, and the security code panel was only visible through a second-floor window he occasionally opened. Matsui promised a larger, more lucrative mission the following week, but for now, the crew agreed to take on this heist, despite its modest profit of only 2.5 million euros, equivalent to about $3 million, leaving them far short of their $94 million GOA. After scouting the property from the rooftop of a nearby building, Bash and Yen realized they couldn't get the right angle to fire their cable gun at the code panel because van der Woud's house was too low. Stumped, Rusty recalled a conversation with Isabel years earlier about a legendary thief from the 1960s named Schumann. Schumann's technique, known as the Schumann Special, involved altering the height of a building's foundation piles to gain access. Though the method was highly complex, the crew decided it was their only option. On the night of the heist, with 8 days left before the deadline, Yen dove into the water beneath van der Woud's house to attach steel wires to the foundation piles. Another team member operated the height control mechanism from a remote location, gradually raising the house. With the foundation lifted, Bash was able to shoot his cable gun accurately, accessing the code panel and successfully hacking into the system. The day after the heist, van der Woud reported the robbery to the police, prompting Europol to send Isabel to investigate. At the crime scene, Isabel noticed a strange mark above the security code panel and discovered a patch. Realizing the wall had been punctured, she deduced that a cable gun had been used, fired from an elevated position after raising the house's foundation, a hallmark of the Schumann Special. Remembering that Rusty was the only person she had ever told about this technique, her suspicions immediately turned toward him. Further inspection revealed an unused drill left at the scene, suggesting another party's involvement. Isabel suspected the infamous Night Fox, a rival thief known for his elaborate methods. Flashbacks revealed what happened during the heist. After breaking into van der Woud's safe, Danny and the team were shocked to find nothing but a black fox statue and a small speaker. The speaker played a message from the Night Fox, claiming they were the second group to break into the safe. The Night Fox confessed he had orchestrated their arrival in Amsterdam by sending Matsui as a decoy. Rusty pieced together that the Night Fox was also the one who leaked their identities to Terry Benedict. A month prior, the Night Fox had contacted Terry, offering detailed information about Ocean's 11 for free. In exchange, he set 2 conditions. Terry couldn't harm any member of the crew, and he had to give them a 2-week deadline to repay the money. Terry agreed, eager for revenge despite the insurance having already reimbursed his losses. Back in the present, Isabel confirmed that the Night Fox was there. She interrogated Matsui, discovering the location of the team's rented hotel. Europol quickly arrested Frank, who was found using a fake credit card to buy shoes he had worn during the heist. Isabel confronted Rusty and the rest of the crew at their hotel. Rusty, startled to see his ex, listened as Isabel dissected their failed heist, including their use of the Schumann Special. She declared that the Night Fox was smarter than even Lamarck, the world's greatest thief, and advised the crew to seek forgiveness from him. She warned that being marked by the Night Fox was a dangerous game. Despite her warnings, Isabel refrained from arresting the team for the robbery, focusing instead on Frank's unrelated fraud. The encounter left Ocean's 11 reeling, with the added weight of facing off against the Night Fox, a rival far more cunning than they anticipated. As Isabel left, Danny turned to Rusty, curious about her past. Rusty revealed that Isabel's father had been a skilled thief who supposedly died in a Russian prison when she was just 9 years old. Meanwhile, the group faced an insurmountable challenge, repaying their $97 million debt to Terry Benedict. Under constant surveillance by Europol, any further heists seemed impossible. However, unbeknownst to the rest, Isabel had confiscated Rusty's phone. Fearing the group would panic, Rusty kept this information to himself. Outside the hotel, Europol agents monitored Rusty, Danny, and Yen, as they were the only ones Isabel had identified. The rest of the crew, Turk, Virgil, Linus, Ruben, Del and Bash, escaped while Danny and Rusty disguised themselves as members of the Arsenal football team. Yen was smuggled inside a suitcase equipped with food and water. Unfortunately, the suitcase was loaded into the bus's luggage compartment, separating Yen from the duo. With 6 days left, Danny discovered the suitcase had been mistakenly sent to Madrid. Using a pseudonym, he tracked its location while staying under Europol's watchful eye. Meanwhile, Frank remained imprisoned, further straining the group's resources. Elsewhere, Saul, who had stepped back from the mission, had a foreboding sense of trouble brewing for his friends. Meanwhile, Danny uncovered the Night Fox's identity. Francois Toulour, a wealthy and eccentric Frenchman living in a mansion at Lake Como. Francois was not only a master thief but also a protégé of Lamarck, the greatest thief in the world. 5 days before the deadline, Danny and the crew confronted Francois at his residence, stealing a few of his prized paintings as a bluff. Francois, unfazed, casually explained his motivations. A month earlier, while speaking with his mentor Lamarck in Portugal, Francois had overheard an American businessman praising Danny and his crew as the best thieves in the world. Envious of their reputation, Francois had asked Lamarck whether Danny was better than him. When Lamarck failed to answer, Francois's ego was bruised. He leaked the crew's identities to Terry Benedict and proposed a challenge to settle the score: steal the Fabergé coronation egg from a heavily guarded exhibit in Paris. Francois promised to pay off the crew's debt to Terry if they succeeded. Danny had only 48 hours to plan and execute the heist. Meanwhile, Isabel was reviewing Rusty's phone in her Europol office when a call from Rusty's associate Roman came through. Roman mentioned a property he had crafted for Rusty, doubling its price. Realizing Danny and his team were preparing for another robbery, Isabel still couldn't discern their target. With just 4 days left, Isabel noticed an advertisement for the Fabergé egg exhibition and deduced it was not only Danny's focus but also a potential goal for the Night Fox. Eager to prove his superiority, Isabel petitioned her superior for a special Europol task force, including armed units, to monitor the egg and arrest both parties. However, her request was denied due to insufficient evidence. Meanwhile, Danny's team regrouped in Rome. Frank remained detained in Amsterdam, while Yen's suitcase had finally arrived at Danny's hotel. The crew convened in an abandoned building to finalize their strategy. Since the museum's state-of-the-art laser security system activated at night, the heist had to occur during the day. Danny, Rusty, and Yen couldn't participate in the museum operation due to their recognition by Isabel. Roman later delivered the requested equipment, a device capable of projecting a flawless 3D hologram of the Fabergé egg. Roman inadvertently revealed Isabel's involvement, confirming their plans were compromised. In another development, Isabel received a report about stolen paintings from a Lake Como mansion, linking the theft to Francois. That evening, Rusty visited Isabel at her home, requesting the return of his phone. Isabel refused, admitting she knew he had committed the Bulgari heist earlier. After a tense exchange about the rivalry between Ocean's team and the Night Fox, Isabel dismissed Rusty. Determined to stop the heist, Isabel forged her superior's signature to secure Europol's special team for the Fabergé egg exhibition. Despite knowing Isabel was onto them, Danny and his crew forged ahead with their risky mission at the National Gallery. On the day of the heist, tension was high. Isabel had tightened security at the National Gallery, deploying extra guards and cameras to protect the Fabergé egg. With only 2 days remaining to settle their debt to Terry Benedict, the remaining members of Ocean's 11, Turk, Linus, Bash, and Tess, prepared for their daring plan. Tess posed as famous actress Julia Roberts, accompanied by Linus, Bash, and Turk acting as her bodyguards. This ruse allowed them to get close to the exhibit. Things took an unexpected turn when the real Bruce Willis, a friend of Julia Roberts, spotted Tess and mistook her for the actress. Entering her room, Bruce initiated a conversation that nearly blew their cover. When Bruce attempted to call Julia's manager, Tess quickly intervened, taking the call and pretending to be in control. Thankfully, Bruce remained oblivious. To ensure Bruce didn't interfere further, Saul joined the team, posing as Julia Roberts' personal doctor. He convinced Bruce that phone signals could endanger her pregnancy, keeping him out of the operation. With this distraction settled, the team moved to the National Gallery. At the exhibit, Tess, Bruce, and the museum manager posed for a photo with the Fabergé egg. This was the signal for the others to act. Tess faked a fainting spell, drawing attention and creating an opening for Linus to swap the real Fabergé egg with a holographic replica. Turk swiftly placed the fake egg into his suitcase, and the team began their retreat. However, Isabel, monitoring the situation closely from her room, spotted the swap. She immediately alerted the guards and ordered the museum's exits to be sealed. Saul, Tess, and the others tried to escape, but Isabel arrived with her police team and apprehended them all, halting the heist in its tracks. With the operation seemingly a failure and their time running out, the team's future and their debt to Terry Benedict hung precariously in the balance. Danny revealed the true events that Francois, known as the Night Fox, had missed. Before the heist, Danny and Rusty secretly met with Lamarck, the greatest thief in the world and Francois's mentor. Lamarck provided critical information about Francois' ego and his obsession with proving himself better than Danny's team. Additionally, Lamarck revealed the location of the real Fabergé egg, which was being transported discreetly via a courier. Danny's team devised a covert plan to steal the egg during the courier's journey. Linus had switched the courier's backpack, which contained the real Fabergé egg, with a replica identical in appearance. The swap was executed flawlessly without raising suspicion, long before the attempted heist at the National Gallery. The entire operation at the museum was a decoy orchestrated to bait Francois and expose his involvement. By the time Francois retrieved the egg from the gallery, the real one was already in Danny's possession. Francois was stunned. Danny explained that the fake egg he now had symbolized Francois' misplaced confidence. Despite Francois' superior skills, his need for recognition and ego had cost him dearly. He had lost the challenge and was obligated to pay Terry Benedict the $198 million as agreed. Meanwhile, Rusty escorted Isabelle to meet her father, Lamarck, who was very much alive. Their emotional reunion brought closure to Isabelle's long-standing grief over her father's supposed death. With the money secured from Francois, Ruben delivered the settlement to Terry Benedict, ensuring that the Ocean's 12 are free from further retaliation. Danny and the team celebrated their success with Tess, Isabelle, and Lamarck, marking the end of another elaborate caper. Francois, left defeated, recognized that while he may have had the skills, it was Danny and his team's ability to outsmart their opponent that truly made them the best. Ocean's 13 opens up one night in Valencia, California, where Rusty was in the middle of robbing a convenience store, when suddenly his old partner, Danny Ocean, called with urgent news. Their friend Ruben was in critical condition at the hospital. The crew quickly gathered to see him, only to learn from the doctor that Ruben had suffered a severe heart attack. The doctor stressed that Ruben needed all the support he could get to recover. The ordeal began when Ruben was betrayed by his business partner, Willie Bank. Bank manipulated Ruben into signing over his business under threat, leaving him with nothing but a single $10,000 chip. As Ruben signed the contract, the stress overwhelmed him, causing a sharp pain in his chest before he collapsed. Deeply respected by the crew, Ruben's suffering united them in a decision to seek justice on his behalf. Danny and Rusty initially tried a peaceful approach, negotiating with Bank to return Ruben's property and honor their original partnership. Bank, however, arrogantly refused, mocking Ruben during their meeting. Insulted, Danny and Rusty left in silence, determined to take action. 6 months later, Danny reached out to Roman for help as a consultant on their next project, avenging Ruben. Before revealing the details of his plan, Danny explained that Bank's new casino and hotel had been built on land that originally belonged to Ruben. The extravagant casino was designed to attract elite gamblers from around the world. Bank, driven by ego, was determined to win the prestigious 5 Diamonds Award from AAA, an organization that rates top-tier hotels, restaurants, and casinos. While Bank already had 4 such awards, he was obsessed with securing another for his latest venture, even if it meant betraying Ruben. To impress AAA inspectors and high-profile guests, Bank spared no expense. The casino boasted chefs from Michelin-starred restaurants, gold-plated cutlery, and opulent luxury suites for wealthy patrons. It was a grand spectacle, but one that Danny and the crew were determined to dismantle. Although the casino had already hosted a soft opening, attracting many gamblers, the grand opening was scheduled for July 3rd. This time, Danny and his crew weren't planning to steal or rob. Their mission was to ruin Willie Bank by driving his casino into massive losses, draining his fortune to avenge Ruben. Their 2 objectives were clear: prevent Bank from winning the 5 Diamonds Award and sabotage the casino so thoroughly that the AAA would shut it down. For the first mission, Danny sent Saul, under the pseudonym Kensington, to pose as a fake reviewer alongside the real AAA reviewer, David. The plan was to make David's experience at the casino utterly miserable. With several bribed staff members on their side, the crew meticulously orchestrated events to ensure David had a terrible stay. It began with Saul deliberately dropping a 5 Diamonds envelope where Abigail could see it, prompting her to offer VIP service in David's presence, highlighting preferential treatment. Next, Danny and Rusty snuck into David's room and made it filthy to worsen his experience. Saul, staying in the room next door, introduced foul odors into David's room through the air vents. A bribed receptionist then informed David that no other rooms were available, forcing him to endure the discomfort. Finally, Turk disguised himself as the chef and served stale food to David, ensuring his stay was as unpleasant as possible. Together, these actions would ruin any chance of Bank earning the prestigious award. For the second mission, the crew's goal was to force the AAA to shut down Bank's casino by ensuring it failed to meet the required $500 million profit within the first 3 months. Danny and his team devised a plan to rig the slot machines, allowing gamblers to win enormous payouts. This would lead to catastrophic losses for the casino, preventing it from meeting its profit target. However, there was a significant obstacle. The slot machines were protected by a highly advanced AI program called Greco, named after its creator, a friend of Roman's. Greco was directly connected to the casino's CCTV system and could detect any attempts to manipulate the games. To overcome this challenge, Danny and the crew needed to temporarily disable Greco. Roman devised a two-step plan for deactivation. The first step involved delivering a phone equipped with a magnetron device to bank as a gift. The magnetron would emit signals capable of disrupting Greco's operations, creating an opening for the crew to execute their next move. The second stage of the plan involved creating an artificial earthquake beneath the casino using a powerful drill. If successful, this would cause Greco to shut down for precisely 3 minutes and 20 seconds. To set the stage, Rusty disguised himself as a geological scientist and met with Bank. He warned of an impending earthquake and advised closing the casino to minimize casualties. Bank and Abigail dismissed his warning but accepted the seismograph Rusty provided, unaware that it contained a hidden camera to monitor Bank's office. The crew managed to secure permission to use the drill, with Bash as the operator. However, during the trial, the drill broke down. To continue their plan, they needed a replacement costing $36 million. Complicating matters further, Francois, a known disruptor, was spotted nearby, suggesting he might interfere with their mission. Linus proposed reaching out to Terry Benedict, their adversary from a previous mission, for financial support. After hearing the crew's predicament, Terry agreed to help, but with conditions. First, any profits from the mission had to be given to him as repayment for his investment. Second, he demanded that the crew steal all of Bank's 5 Diamonds awards, which were displayed on the casino's top floor. Next, the crew needed to access the storage room where the 5 Diamonds awards were kept. Their plan involved blowing up the tiles underneath the storage room directly opposite the elevator shaft. However, they first had to determine the tile's thickness to ensure the explosion would work. To reach the tiles, they decided to enter through the air duct from a luxury suite. Yen and Linus took on this mission, with Yen posing as a wealthy businessman named Wang and Linus as his assistant Lenny, to secure a stay in the suite. Their disguises, however, raised Abigail's suspicions, leading her to report them to the FBI. Fortunately, the responding agent was Bobby, Linus's father, who was secretly aligned with the crew and ensured the mission proceeded smoothly. Using a specialized tool, Yen checked the tiles but discovered they were too thick to explode effectively. Meanwhile, Ruben regained consciousness and read letters from Danny and the crew, urging him to stay strong and recover. Determined to find another way into the storage room, the crew decided on a new approach. Linus would seduce Abigail and persuade her to show him the storage room. At the same time, Turk and Virgil infiltrated Bank's dice factory in Mexico. They sabotaged the dice by adding a special powder to the mix, allowing them to be controlled via a frequency emitted by a lighter. This would ensure players using the rigged dice would win consistently, causing significant financial losses for the casino. Terry Benedict, meanwhile, personally visited Bank's casino, openly threatening him for daring to compete with him. Later, Bank and Abigail were seen discussing plans for the grand opening, which included a motorbike acrobatics show. Shortly after, the special phone gifted by the crew arrived, and Bank and Abigail accepted it without suspicion, setting the next stage of the plan in motion. On the night of the grand opening, the crew prepared to execute their plan. Danny mingled with the crowd, posing as a casual gambler and attracting high rollers to join the tables. Frank worked as a dealer, readying the rigged dice, while Yen continued his cover as Wang. Dell arrived under the guise of a technician, set to hack the casino's systems at the right moment. Meanwhile, David, the official 5 Diamonds reviewer, faced more humiliation. Turk and Virgil, disguised as hotel staff, accused him of overstaying his reservation and disturbing guests with a foul smell emanating from his room, a situation orchestrated by Saul. They kicked him out, cementing his terrible experience. The pair then rushed to the system room and planted a remotely detonated bomb. Linus initiated his part of the plan by using a pheromone patch to charm Abigail into leading him to the storage room where the 5 Diamonds awards were kept. Shortly after, FBI agent Bobby arrived and staged Dell's arrest on charges of hacking the slot machines, clearing the way for Roman to step in as the substitute technician. Roman began his work but couldn't proceed with the hack as long as Greco remained active. Finally, Rusty arrived at the casino, bringing a recovered Ruben who decided to play. Ruben, encouraged by his friend's support and letters, stood as a symbol of the crew's determination to see the mission through. Meanwhile, Linus continued his part of the plan, persuading Abigail to take him to a more private area. Using his charm, he convinced her to lead him to the storage room where the 5 Diamonds awards were kept. Once inside, Linus discreetly planted explosives without Abigail noticing, while Terry monitored his actions from a separate location. At the same time, trouble was brewing at the FBI office. An agent, unaware of Bobby's involvement, obtained the fingerprints of Danny Ocean's crew from the hacked slot machines and sent the data directly to Bank's computer. Anticipating this, the crew assigned Virgil and Turk to manipulate their photos in real time. Meanwhile, Bash, disguised as a stunt performer scheduled for the grand opening, created a diversion to keep Bank occupied. Rusty then began using a hacked slot machine, following Dell's precise instructions. After inserting several coins, he deliberately left one for the next player. A woman approached, used the coin, and hit a $30 million jackpot. The crowd erupted in applause while Greco detected no irregularities, as the woman's genuine surprise convinced the system that her win was legitimate. With the chaos growing, Frank and a bribed casino manager distributed the rigged dice and roulette balls, enabling gamblers to win consistently and deepen Bank's losses. Meanwhile, Turk and Virgil activated the drill, simulating an earthquake. The first tremor was mild, barely noticeable, but Bank rushed to the Greco control room to check the system. Unbeknownst to him, his phone, fitted with Roman's magnetron, disrupted Greco's operations. Shortly after, the AI experienced critical errors and deactivated for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. During this window, the gamblers maximized their winnings. The rigged dice and roulette balls ensured massive payouts, and the hacked slot machines operated without restrictions. Meanwhile, Bank found himself locked in the Greco server room due to the security system's automatic lockdown, unable to stop the casino's losses. Once Greco reactivated, Bank emerged from the server room only to face a second, stronger earthquake triggered by Turk and Virgil's drill. This time, the tremor caused widespread panic, prompting guests to flee while carrying their chips, leaving Bank's casino in complete disarray. As chaos spread, Abigail, still alone with Linus in the Five Diamonds room, made an unexpected move and tried to seduce him. However, their encounter was interrupted when Bobby and a team of FBI agents burst in, pretending to arrest Linus. Bobby accused him of seducing women to steal their wealth, claiming that Linus planned to replace the real Five Diamonds awards with fake ones hidden under his suit. Bobby and Linus quickly took the elevator to the helipad at the top of the building. Terry, watching the events unfold from his room, overheard Linus reporting to Danny that he had successfully switched the real Five Diamonds with the fake ones. Realizing the stakes, Terry, who had secretly conspired with Francois, ordered him to intercept Linus and take the awards before Bash could arrive with the helicopter. Francois confronted Linus at gunpoint, forcing him to hand over his suit containing the awards. Once in possession of the Five Diamonds, Francois jumped off the building with a parachute to make his escape. Strangely, Bash, Bobby, and even Linus appeared unfazed. Linus calmly secured hooks from the helicopter to the helipad tiles, setting the next part of the plan into motion. Meanwhile, Danny approached Bank, who, despite his significant losses, confidently asserted that the casino would still receive the Five Diamonds award. Just then, Saul appeared and revealed that he was a fake reviewer. Before leaving, Danny delivered the final blow, informing Bank that not only had $500 million disappeared from the casino due to massive winnings, but the real Five Diamonds awards were also gone, taken by the crew. The helicopter hovered above the casino, carrying the storage container that held the real Five Diamonds awards. Bank could do nothing but watch helplessly as his most prized possessions were taken right before his eyes. Meanwhile, Francois, who had landed safely with the fake awards, spotted the helicopter and realized he'd been duped. After the mission, Danny and the crew revealed a heartfelt surprise for Ruben. They had purchased a 4.6-acre real estate property for him. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Ruben thanked his friends. Later, Danny met Terry in his office to confront him about his betrayal. Danny explained that he had anticipated Terry's plan to send Francois to steal the awards and had set a trap by allowing Francois to take the fake ones, keeping the real awards safe with the crew. Terry, cornered, admitted his scheme. As punishment, Danny revealed he had donated all the money Terry had lent them to an orphanage foundation in Terry's name. Terry was unable to protest, knowing his plan had been exposed. Moreover, any attempt to reclaim the money would tarnish his reputation, especially after he had been publicly honored on the Oprah Winfrey Show. The crew watched the show together at the airport before parting ways to resume their individual lives. Linus said goodbye, heading off on another mission assigned by his father. Danny planned to return home to his wife, and Rusty intended to reunite with Isabel. Thanks for watching until the end. Your support is always appreciated, and as always, stay awesome and take care.